Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Higurashi. Last time, Tomoe kind of got a forceful promotion, though it was to protect her from hurtful office politics. So it's rough, but if it didn't happen, she might have just like lost her job or something. So, or died. He did mention she could have got killed. So some rough stuff. So let's see how what Tomoe does now. The Nagisa case is still unsolved. Will she be able to push through a bit, or what's gonna happen there? We will see. With Fujita, we are not in the mood. Fujita waved his hand as he caught up to Tomoe, but once he caught a good look at her, he caught his breath. She was crying. The Tomoe Manai he knew had red, swollen eyes. Even though he thought it was discourteous, he couldn't help but feel embarrassed and speechless upon witnessing such a gallant and strong-minded woman crying. Damn. The classic. That's the classic excuse. Listen, I say this, but it's actually true. My eyes literally are dyed from allergies, as you probably know from this channel. How all the videos around this time is super stuffed because of fucking allergies. So listen, Tomoe, you just gotta own it, man. Don't take false valor from us serious allergy victims, okay? I'm offended. Fujita looked away with a bitter smile on his face while Tomoe wiped her eyes and nose with a handkerchief. Of course he knew she was lying. Bruh. Look at that smile. Oh, yo, send it over, bro. I need it. Tomoe pinched her nose with the tissue from her pocket, then turned to face him again. When Fujita saw that, he said, "Oh, that's right," and pulled an envelope out of his jacket pocket. Nagisa, final message. When Tomoe saw the sender's name, her eyes opened wide. It was from the recently deceased Nagisa Ozaki. Okay, maybe she did commit suicide and it wasn't a Tokyo job. Or, I guess we'll see if she's like super happy and stuff then. It's definitely sussy. I mean, it's expected. It's not addressed to you. You better not have. It was in a lovely envelope, most likely a private message to her. With that in mind, Tomoe slipped it into her jacket pocket, intending to read it later. Okay, dude. Okay, man. Who injected it? Yeah, she actually... Oh my god, she was actually assassinated. That's... Why, though? She wasn't even infected. It doesn't make sense. Unless it's like Rena... Wait, no, it was never Rena. That was a Rika thing. I don't know, man. She's definitely got killed. Yeah, okay. Well, I guess that answers the suicide question. Did they just like pick her up? But like, why? I'm just so confused. I guess they're just removing the Rena incident people, maybe. Jesus. This sucks, man. She was a nice girl.
それについては頭部が損壊しているため鑑識では判断が難しいとのことでした。街灯の暗い場所に遺体があったのは偶然の可能性が高いですね。
Okay.
今回の事件では県警本部と柿内署による合同捜査本部が設置されるとのことです。二課の野郎が例によって名乗り出ているそうですが、どうします、皆井さん。
As Fujita said that, he was waiting for Tomoe to step in and say, I'll take care of it. In fact, he had already talked it over with Section Chief Yamamura and Hanada, and Takayashiki had also offered to help. At first, they simply approached Tomoe out of mere curiosity, offering to be her bodyguards, but now they completely sympathized with her. However, damn, where's the fighting spirit? It's been beaten out of her. Fujita was at a loss for words after hearing that unthinkable response out of Tomoe. What did it mean? What on earth happened to the burning rage and vast sorrow she was displaying at the crime scene?
わざわざ報告ありがとう。とりあえずこの件については県警が主導で動いてくれるみたいだしね。私たちの出る幕じゃなさそうだから結果を待ちましょう。
それでいいんですか、皆井さん。俺はこれから捜査一課に乗り込んで俺たちのいつも用意させろってあなたから命令を受けるつもりでここにいるんですが。
Tomoe's heart shook at that massive temptation. If she gave the order, Fujita would go out and meet with the Prefectural Police HQ immediately. Honestly, he went so far above and beyond her as a subordinate, no, as a partner. On top of that, Hanada, Takayashiki, Ando, pretty much the entire 1st Division recognized the young newcomer as a comrade and respected her. So if there was anything they could do to help, they were on board. If she asked them to kneel before her, they would comply. Jesus. Would they, though? Would they? Little presumptuous? But she couldn't. She couldn't do that anymore. Because her position, the power to command them, was already gone.
お疲れ様。今日はもう上がってもいいわよ。奥さんによろしくね。
ちょっと待ってください。
一人にさせて。お願い。
After saying that, Fujita watched his boss solemnly turn her back and walk away. Tomoe went down the stairs past the 1st Investigation Division in order to avoid his gaze. Oh no. Feels bad, man. And it's just like worse that other people killed her.
先日はいろいろと私のためにご尽力いただきまして本当にありがとうございました。あの後何度かお電話を差し上げたのですがタイミングが悪くその都度外出中とのことでしたのでお手紙をお送りすることにしました。実はご報告があります。先日レイナと電話にて話をすることができました。それも信じられないことに私がかけたわけじゃありません。レイナからかかってきたんです。
That's weird. Okay.
でも私にはあまりにも突然すぎてそれにレイナもなんだかぎこちない感じでお互いに何から話していいのかわからず結局あまり会話できなかったのが残念でしたがそれでも一度会ってお互いにゆっくり話をしようということになりました。なぜあんな事件を起こしてしまったのか、なぜ何も言わずに黙っていなくなってしまったのか、そして今お互いどんな思いを抱えて暮らしているのか、そのことを会った時に思い切って
Oh, this is gonna make Rana look super suspicious.
もちろんそのことで私もレイナも
Well, it's not like she can drive a car, so maybe you can take her out of the picture.
そしてひょっとしたらやっぱり会わなければよかったと後悔するかもしれないという不安は今でもあります。でも私はやっぱりレイナと話をすることから始めたいんです。食材とか懺悔とかそんなものはもういらない。何もかも打ち明けて話してぶつけ合って、それでもレイナが私の友達でいてくれるかを私はあの子に尋ねたい。そして私も今度こそ本当の意味であの子の友達になれるかを確かめたい。だって私は今でもレイナのことが大好きだから。レイナのせいで悲しいことも味わったけど、彼女との楽しい思い出も間違いなくたくさんあるんです。その思いを私はあの子に伝えたい。そしてあの子が表に出せなかった悩みや苦しみを受け止めてあげたい。あの子が昔私にそうしてくれたように。会った時あの子は笑ってくれるかな。話す時の癖はまだ残っているかな。
I was gonna say, she's saying the Tana.
いろんな不安だらけだけど、でもそれと同じくらい期待もあります。だから私は信じてレイナと会ってきます。そして刑事さんにいい報告ができるよう頑張っていきたいと思っています。
Ouch.
結果は後日お電話にてご報告します。もしお忙しくてまた連絡が行き違うようでしたら、自宅の電話番号を書いておきましたので、お手すきの時にでもお電話をいただけましたらとても嬉しいです。それではまた。今度お会いできた時には園芸部で一番綺麗なお花を持っていきますので、楽しみにしていてください。尾崎渚。
Damn. The sudden transition to that hits hard, man. I couldn't do anything, I couldn't help her at all. Even though I spoke so boldly, I feels bad, man. Jesus. She wasn't sure how much she drank or which shop she stopped at before she made it here. By the time she came to her senses, Tomoe was sitting on a park bench. The surrounding area was completely dark, and there was no indications of other people nearby. When she raised her head to take a good look around, her line of sight sickeningly swayed in her drunken stupor. Oh my god. Don't think that, man. It's jinxing it. She bitterly smiled to herself, while trying to suppress the urge to vomit. No matter how many times she thought about planting her feet and standing up, she couldn't put the strength into her legs. Yeah, it's not a flattering headline, honestly. But if she actually did get stabbed and fell down in a bloody mess, it probably wouldn't end so easily. She'd resist with all her might, trying to subdue the culprit, and in doing so, ultimately lower her chance of being saved. She could imagine the face her sister would make when she found out about it. We know what happens. She got fucking shanked. Tomoe leaned back into the bench and gazed up at the night sky as she spat those words out. Frustrated as she was, the sky was filled with a sea of beautiful stars, shining in full view.
見ないさ。
The twinkling of the stars suddenly distorted into an image of Nagisa's smiling face. The corners of her eyes began to heat up and her chest tightened in pain.
結局何も守れなかった。それどころか事件に巻き込まなくても済んだはずの人を不幸にして。
No matter how much she regretted it, it wasn't enough. If Tomoe hadn't told her about Reina Ryudu's whereabouts in the first place.
とんだ疫病神。
Oh god.
私は
It's what a way to describe yourself. And not like a demon going, I am a plague of destruction in like a self-deprecating ways. Pretty intense. I guess it's intense both ways, but as the depression sank in, Tomoe's voice warped into a laugh that would likely give her a sore throat. Up until now, there were times she felt depressed because she failed or something didn't work out. The sadness and regret drove her to drink enough to lose consciousness more than once or twice in the past. However, this was the first time she lamented her own negligence and powerlessness, and hated herself so much that she wanted to hang herself by the neck. Oh my god. YouTube, this, I'm just reading. Because sometimes when YouTube hears this, they send you a suicide hotline email. It's happened like a couple times, just from the content we read. That's dark, man.
あまり熱心になりすぎると後で辛いぞ。
The words of her old boss at the youth division, Section Chief Kishimoto, echoed through her drunken head. Deep down, she knew it was a bad habit to get emotional and personally attached to the ones involved. But even so, no matter how hard she tried, Tomoe couldn't abandon that mindset. The scars and memories from her time as a victim wouldn't allow her to do otherwise.
刑事向いてないのかな。
No shot. You're literally like one of the best detectives in this story.
私には無理なのかな。
Kinda. Then Tomoe scooped up the can of beer she brought with her and guzzled it down her throat. Ew. She was long beyond that point she could even taste it. Tomoe was getting kicked out of Kikuchi next month. She hadn't even started on her father's case, and she couldn't catch the person who killed Nagisa. She was just clumsily and pitifully leaving it all behind. At this point, she didn't even care about the hate and ridicule of Okabe and the others saying, serves you right. In fact, what she felt most sad about was the people like Fujita who worried about her and placed their trust in her.
ごめんねみんな。
They were good people, no matter how disappointing they were. They'd still try to encourage Tomoe. But just knowing that made it all the more painful. Unfortunately, they weren't her friends. They were comrades tied by a trusting workplace relationship. As the dependable boss, Tomoe's pride wouldn't allow them to cross that line by being overly sympathetic to her troubles.
今さら何をかっこつけてんだろうな私。だけど
Just then, she heard a strange sound coming from the distance. What could it be? Was someone nearby? No, that wasn't it. She felt something like this before, not that long ago. Uh-oh. Fake Rena. That's right, she remembered. It was in Hinamizawa. After the gas was drained from her car, when she was walking to the phone booth. She heard the same sound back then. When she tried to stand up, she immediately collapsed on the spot. She had no strength left to fight it. Feeling like a fish on the chopping block, she gave in and thought to herself, if you're going to kill me, do it now.
いいわよ。やりたきゃやれば。もう別にどうでもいいし。
At this point, all her hopes and pride were exhausted. She was just a soulless shell who'd lost its purpose. If you want to kill me, feel free. If you want to sacrifice me to some curse, I'll go willingly. The sound slowly grew louder. Pat, pat, tap, tap. But even so, she wasn't afraid, although that may have been due to a loss of her sanity in her current drunken state. Before long, the sound continued echoing until it was right beside Tomoe, and then it stopped. It certainly felt like someone was standing beside her. However, they didn't say or do anything. The silence continued for a while, but Tomoe eventually grew frustrated with the oppressive atmosphere and quickly turned her head to look up. What the fuck?
あれ
However, there was nobody there. In fact, when Tomoe looked at the surrounding... Oh, bruh. I thought it was just like a reused background. Tomoe fucking drunk herself into the sea of fragments. She's truly transcended. Hype. They're no longer the original part where she had fallen. How?
何ここ
Tomoe shook her head many times, thinking she was excessively drunk. But despite that, an indescribable space like a fantasy world was laid out before Tomoe's eyes.
一体私どうして
あなた
What the
だったん
fuck?
ですね。
Hanyu! She makes her first appearance! First time Hanyu. Actually, wait, is it? In the whole consorts? Trying to think. I think it is, actually. Yeah. It's been a while, Hanyu. Wish I had a Hanyu soundboard moment. I only have the Nipa. It embodies Hanyu somewhat. That moment. She could feel a voice coming not through her ears but directly inside her head, so she quickly took a look around. And then, show her.
理科の運命
Oh.
を切り開く大切なかけらの一つ。
What? How? Did she do something?
隙間はようやく埋めたけど、橋の方でかけたところがどうしても見つからなかった。
What did Tomoe possibly do in the background that led to Rika escaping fate? Because obviously she wasn't in the story, the main story, so she must have done something.
でも
Some butterfly effect shit.
あなた誰
An unfamiliar girl dressed in a shrine maiden's clothes suddenly emerged in this empty space. It was a face she hadn't seen before, and she could see things resembling horns on her head. Who on earth was this girl?
あなたは不思議な存在。全く僕たちのことを知らない。関係のない人のはず。
Huh.
奇跡を必然へと昇華する。例えるなら
Maybe she like puts pressure on Tokyo or something,
ような人
and it kind of fucks them up.
ジョーカーそれに運命の歯車って一体何
歯車は全てが同じ向きにばかり回っていては噛み合わない。正しい動きをしない。中にはいくつか正反対の動きをするものがなければいけない。
True.
僕たちを取り巻く運命の歯車は強固すぎて、なかなか僕の思い通りには流れを変えてくれなかった。だから僕はちょっと奇跡を集めて理科の幸せを導き出した。そうしなければ流れは僕たちの思い通りには動いてくれなかったから。
She couldn't understand. Tomoe couldn't understand the meaning behind what this girl was saying.
でも僕は気づいたのです。実は動いていない歯車がまだあって、それを動かすための歯車が一つ回路から抜け落ちてしまっていたことを。それはとても小さなものだけど、それを加えて動かせば止まっていた歯車が動き出し、今までびくともしなかった大きな歯車の向きが逆へと変わって動き出す。
Probably Akasaka. Oh, I didn't mention it last time, but I thought like, isn't she transferring like somewhere near Artasaka? I don't think it's like directly. Actually, it is directly under her or over him because I think they mentioned it in the police case files. Wow, I didn't make that connection at all.
そしてその動きは一見
But it is probably something like with her higher status, she can give Artasaka more leeway to act, maybe.
でもその歯車一つの動きで奇跡は必然となり運命のサイコロは僕たちの手へと移るその歯車があなたですかけらに残ったままどうしても外せなかったよどみを取り除きあなた自身はそのよどみとともに離れてゆくけれどその結晶をより堅固なものへと変える存在なのです
Is this a dream? Am I witnessing some ridiculous dream?
見ない友へ過去に苦しみそれでも前に進もうとあがき続ける強い意志の人よ僕たちにはあなたが必要いえリカにはあなたが必要なんです
Nobody knows who that is
待ってよ
yet.
リカって誰それにそもそもあなたは一体何者
僕はおやしお様
Ooh, name dropped. She knows that name.
あなたの大切な人たちを傷つけ命を奪ったとあなたが誤解して憎み続ける上々の存在
The blood suddenly ran to Tomoe's head and she reflexively tried to stand up, but she lacked the strength in her legs, so she fell in place. Still, even though she turned to the girl with rage in her eyes, the girl responded with a timid smile devoid of fear.
憎いですか悔しいですかそうあなたのその黒い感情が僕たちには不可欠なもの毒を持って毒を制すの例え通り強固な黒い意志にくさびを打ち込めるのは黒い感情でしか成し得ないのです待っていますあなたをこのひなみ沢で
Damn. Called out.
あれ
When Tomoe came back to her senses, she found herself on a park bench. She glanced at her watch to check the time. It was nearly morning.
寝ちゃったのか寒
A chill ran all the way to her core, and her whole body suddenly began to shake. She had completely sobered up. There was a dull pain in her head, but her thoughts were cool and collected. Fortunately, she didn't seem to have caught a cold, despite sleeping in a place like this. More than that, it was a miracle that a young woman left defenseless like that was able to wake up in a perfectly good health in the morning. Very true.
奇跡か
The word was a peculiar dream. She couldn't remember the face of the girl who appeared in her dream, but she could vaguely recall bits and pieces of her words. There was definitely something about turning gears around, and I remember, it was back then. When Reina Ryudu attacked me, the girl was talking to me as my consciousness began to fade away, and that memory came back inside my head to form that dream. But looking at it in hindsight, I can't deny the possibility that what I saw and heard back then was a dream too.
毒を持って毒を制す黒には黒でぶつかるか
At first, she couldn't quite understand the meaning, but as she continued to ponder it little by little, she was able to piece it together. Fight hate with hate. It wasn't as simple as standing up and fighting with revenge in your heart. It simply made it a collusion between two egos. In other words, it's about approaching your opponent with the same passion, but also with understanding. It is only because you feel your own strong dark emotions that you're in a position to understand your adversaries. And in doing so, you also know how to calm your opponent. Humans are not wild animals. With few exceptions, they rely on reasoning rather than instinct. So when a person chose to attack another, there's a reason that drove them to that action. In order to identify that, you must first know the other person and their sense of values. Find the source of despair that nobody else could understand, and unravel the dark emotions that drove them to solitude. That's right, because compassion and animosity are two sides of the same coin. And as those words repeated in Tomoe's head over and over, she realized that the hopeless despondency she had been feeling until last night was no longer there.
なるほどね。そういうことか。
Tomoe stood up as she said that. She glanced at the empty can in her hand, and then at the trash can and shot it, and then at a trash can a short distance away and tossed it in a snap. Excuse me, put it in the recycling. Thank you. Trying to save the world here. Canada's burning, or was burning. Is Canada still on fire? I think they got rid of the bad air report, but yeah, save the environment, guys. Please, I'm dying here. The can race through the air in a slightly arcing path. A dull sound rang out as it collided with aluminum on the edge and then fell right in place. Damn, is that end chapter? That was a fast part, considering like the first 12 minutes were like finishing up the other part. Tips? Tips me? Tips. Ooh, if you speak of justice, the others will laugh at you. What a naive, helpless thing to say. If you speak of evil, the others will berate you. What a callous, cruel thing to say. Everyone remains silent, but the truth is everyone already understands. Burn Castle. Spring 1983, 6 months after Tomoe Minai is transferred to the public relations office. Yo, it's over. Arc done. Based on you. What the fuck is that? Who's that guy? Oh, that's Hanada. What the heck? That's a sprite. And that's swaggy. His face, man.
これで2本。自分のところで県警本部の世話役を抱え込んでるからな。他の山が全然回りきれてなくて、この間畑副所長からお叱りをいただいたってさ。
Karma? Fuck Okabe? All my homies hate Okabe?
いい君だよ。身の程を知れってんだ。
True. After all that, they couldn't find anything resembling a clue at the crime scene, and they didn't even have a profile on the culprit. Even searching through a list of classmates and known degenerates, they couldn't find anything at all. There's almost no doubt that the case would go unsolved, so the morale in the field was on the decline.
そういや、あれからあの人、今頃どうしてるかな。なんだ、藤田。お前。
Yo, don't say that. He's married.
バカ、違うよ。広報室なんかに飛ばされて、腐ってやめちまってるんじゃないかって。それが心配でさ。
In fact, Fujita couldn't believe that another detective that capable would ever come out of the National Police Agency or the Metropolitan Police Department. Her extraordinary work ethic and analytical capability were far above anyone he'd ever worked with, regardless of age or gender. And if she had taken part in this joint investigation, maybe she could have been able to make full use of her abilities to squeeze out a profile on the criminal. At the very least, Fujita and the others believed that Tomoe was capable of it.
なんかあれ以来、一家って気が抜けたような感じじゃないか。山村さんが悪いわけじゃないけど、やっぱ違ってたよな。そうだな。
Shiro Hanada agreed with Fujita's assessment while sitting next to him. After all, her investigation policies were clear and easy to understand, as opposed to the running around based on intuition without any tangible confirmation. Of course, they couldn't deny it was fortunate the incidents they investigated were consistent with Tomoe's analytical methodology. So there are people out there with power to make their own luck. That too was one of her strengths.
ま、警察みたいなセクショナリズムの社会にああいう破天荒な女性は合わなかったってことだろうさ。もったいない話だけどさ。
誰が破天荒だって？
Yes! Tomoe jump scare. Bro, look at Hanada. He's actually terrified while Fujita's just surprised. Fujita and Hanada jumped in surprise when they suddenly heard a voice calling from behind. And when they looked back, the person standing before them was... still rocking the same outfit. It's been a while since we saw her, since we've been in her POV most of the time. At least she's alive, man. She'll actually live in an arc. Holy shit.
いや、そうじゃなくて。なんでここに？
別に警察官がここを訪れるのは変じゃないでしょ？なんかおかしい？
Indeed, even though Tomoe worked for the public relations office, she was still a police officer, so it wasn't that unusual for her to come to Kakuchi Station. Although, knowing her character, she wasn't the type to say, I just came to say hi. So what was the meaning of this?
藤田くん、花田くん。早速だけど、二人にもまた足やってもらうわよ。
え？じゃあ。
と、その前に山村くん。
Did she get transferred back already? I guess, Yamamoto did say that it was like temporarily. He did kind of hint that he wanted her to come back eventually. Damn, stealing Yamamura's job. Unlucky. And even though Tomoe was no longer in a position to order them around anymore, Fujita and Hanada immediately responded to her request by saying, understood, and quickly rushing out. Their sense of servitude was so deeply ingrained. They were like loyal dogs. Damn. But as Fujita ran down the corridor, before long, his cheeks split into a huge grin. She's back, baby. Hello, Madonka. Madonka? Oof. I guess maybe Madoka didn't like that Yamamoto did it. And he probably didn't tell her it was for her safety, so. Yamamoto looked embarrassed after being corrected in such a sharp, cold tone. Ooh. Damn. Owned. She'd been so blunt that she wouldn't even give him the time of day. She'd been like this toward him for the last half a year. When he told her that Tomoe was being transferred to the public relations office, she was deeply upset. Fair enough. Crying, yelling, telling him off, and in the end even throwing things around. There were still marks on his desk when Madoka struck it with a golf club back then. In that way, she was really so much like her sister, and so Yamamoto let out a sigh.
極めて個人的に不満を抱いているだけですので、どうぞお気になさらないでくださいまし。
He was at his wit's end. With things as they were, no progress could be made unless they talked about it, but he couldn't see anything in the current situation. Madoka had finally returned to living in Yamotai's house, but she had been living in Tomoe's old single-occupancy apartment until last month. With that in mind, you could say their relationship was still getting better, but it was hard to deny the possibility that just one more little thing could spell the end of their engagement. Though that catastrophic pattern was typical in relationships, regardless of age difference, you just had to let her sort her feelings, or let her sort out her feelings. Also, Madoka caused a great deal of turmoil since she first started at Tokihogushi Station, enough that she was expecting a 1-month suspension. Jesus. However, Yamota had lived alone for so many years that when she moved out, the space felt especially small and lonely. It was hard for anyone who knew him to believe, but he had already deeply bowed his head and apologized to her over 20 times, but she still hadn't forgiven him, and that Cold War continued even now. And so all it took was a single fierce glare, and he couldn't think of anything else. He easily recognized the outcome of any action he took, so he never did anything. There was nothing he could do. Because of that, he ended up repeating the same sad questions and answers, and in some way maybe even being taken advantage of by his feelings for her. Just then, he heard a knock on the door. Normally, he would have asked the person to announce who they were before entering the room, but in this case, he wanted to shake off the dreary atmosphere, so he responded, "Come in a dignified voice." And then, "Hands up, motherfucker." Why was it a gun cocking sound, man? Classic consorts. The door swung open, and she came in, saying, "Excuse me." Madoka and Yamotai's eyes opened wide in shock as they recognized Tomoe. Naturally, they didn't know in advance she was coming. When Tomoe noticed their reaction, she had a mischievous smile on her face as she donned a salute.
南井智恵、警察庁長官官房の総務課長の代理でご挨拶に伺いました。少々お時間よろしいでしょうか。
じゃあ私は
別にいてもいいわよ。いずれ遅かれ早かれみんなの耳に入ることなんだし。
Madoka stared on in disbelief as Tomoe spread the file in her hands out in front of Yamotai. Inside were a bunch of documents clipped together.
警察庁長官官房から愛知県警と柿内署への協力要請です。了解をいただき次第、後日正式な通達書を送付させていただきます。
The heading inscribed on the cover said this: "Establishing an operational task regarding the use of profiling techniques to investigate unsolved cases." Oh my god, it's the start of making criminal profile. Wait, is it? No, they mentioned it. Never mind, I don't know.
実は先日、前の広報室長のご紹介で、総務課長、長官官房長とお会いする機会がございまして、そこで少々ご歓談のお時間をいただくことができました。
It was totally coincidental, but incredibly fortuitous. It was a rare one-in-a-million opportunity that she had earned through her strong convictions. A few days after Tomoe started at the public relations office, the secretariat heard that she was a fellow alumnus of Kashima University, so he called her into his office just to give her encouragement. During their chat, Tomoe offhandedly mentioned her profiling investigation technique to the secretariat, and she mentioned that it had already been tested in Kikuchi with wonderful results.
さすがに僭越な行為と承知しておりましたが、今までにまとめた資料をたまたま持参しておりましたので、これ幸いと思って目を通していただきました。
Surely. Both the Secretariat and the Director of General Affairs were a bit surprised when they saw it. After all, these profiling techniques were published in lengthy documents written in English, so it's difficult to decipher the details without putting significant effort into it. And this young elite's trainee casually translated and summarized it, achieved amicable results while testing it on real cases, and assembled a report detailing all her findings. The Secretariat was always interested in pursuing new techniques, and thanks to all the work she put into it, he was particularly interested. Nice.
それを受けて官房長のお力で報告書の内容を科警研に紹介してくれること
Bro,
になりました。
that's hype.
そこで偶然にもその実行例の詳細をすべて管理
NRIPS. What does that stand
科
for?
警研の総務部長にそれらをレポートとして提出したのです。
National something something police science? The reaction was stunning. Originally, the National Research Institute of Police Science, oh, it was right, it was something like that, was conducting their own research on Western profiling techniques. But even though they understood the basic premises, they had no operational data to analyze. And even when they tried to pursue the endeavor, progress was extremely slow because of the sectionalized nature of the police force. Detectives in the field also anxious that new techniques would jeopardize their positions. Meanwhile, Tomoe showed up with all the data compiled from her time at the Ibaraki Prefectural Police Department, and her 2 months at Kikuchi offered it up for free, and so they welcomed it with open arms. In response to that, the general manager of NRIPS invited the director to a hearing with her. Of course, the fact that Tomoe was a woman certainly did pique some curiosity. But even so, she opted to use that to her advantage, and after talking it over, the director gave an official proclamation that the process should be tested on an actual investigation. As a result, NRIPS assembled a research team and launched a full-scale investigation into profiling methodology.
しかし君は広報室で
She's climbing.
ええ、ですから私は関与いたしません。その代わり広報室係長としてこの件についての報道対応を任されることになりました。
報道？これをマスコミに公開するのか？
はい。実はテレビ局に企画書を持ち込み
Damn.
ました。
She's pushing it.
欧米における最新の捜査手法の特集をやらないかと。3ヶ月以内に迷宮入りの難事件を解決してみせるって大見え切って密着取材にも許可を出したら喜んで飛びついてきましたよ。
Madoka shouted in astonishment. Tomoe had always hated working with the media. That's true. So what on earth brought about this change of heart? Fire with fire! Hanyu!
もちろん彼らに見せるのはほんの一部。
Yeah, you don't just show the full fucking investigation. Just little tidbits to not like alert the culprit.
それに
Just in case.
女性向けインタビューを2本独占で受けることになってるから実際の彼らの優先順位はそっちの方が上。そういうわけで女性の権利拡大の弁士として思いっきり威勢のいいことを語ってあげるって言ったらもう大喜びで協力してくれるってさ。君ありがとう。
Ah,
最高の褒め言葉よ。
she's using the resources she got, man. She got what she wants. Based. Tomoe nonchalantly shot that back. Disregarding her name to obtain results was normal for her. Oh, excuse me. But compromising and cooperating with all manner of people was totally different from Tomoe's old way of thinking. She's evolved. Because she literally ascended for a couple minutes. So Madoka, feeling like she was dreaming right now, pinched her own cheek hard. It was incredibly painful. Just then, Fujita knocked on the door and then entered the chief's office. Gun caught?
刑事一課に大きな段ボールの荷物が届いてるんですが、あれって何ですか？
ああ、 藤田君、それは私の任務なの。
Okay,
中身はパソコンだから、扱いは丁寧にお願いね。
good one.
パソコンですか？
Ooh, that's big tech.
一体何に使うんですか？
遅れてるわね、藤田君。これからはパソコンの時代よ。あ、山沖所長。柿内署の合同捜査本部内に専用線の配置を行いたいので、ご許可をいただけますでしょうか。
お、
Still unable to dismiss his feelings of confusion, Yamokai simply nodded. Didn't she say she wasn't interested in computers before? It was a completely unthinkable change. Was this really Tomoe Minai? Was there any chance she was actually replaced by an alien taking her form? The next moment,
山沖所長。
Tomoe turned to him with a serious expression and deeply bowed her head. And then,
ありがとうございました、所長。私はもう少しで正義というものを見失うところでした。
the look on her face as she said that had a pleasant atmosphere, suggesting she had dispelled her earlier demons.
感情的な復讐心や自己満足の行いは、自分の失敗を認めたくないという見苦しさの産物です。自分は正しいと一人で思い込んで、誰にも頼らず、誰の言葉にも耳を貸さない独りよがりでも、それでは本当の悪には勝てない。いえ、戦えない。こちらが犯罪を取り締まるため、あらゆる手段と知識を蓄えているように、相手も同様の準備をしてこちらを叩き潰そうとその武器を磨いている。そんな奴らに一人でできることなんてたかが知れています。
So, Tomoe gathered all her hatred and resentment and cast them aside, and she replaced her selfish thoughts and convictions with a general desire to gain the understanding of the people around her.
自分の正義と警察の正義、相反するときは自ら屈して妥協して警察の正義に合わせるのも一つのやり方です。しかしその逆も確かにあります。様々な権力と発言力を握る各方面の人々すべてを説得し、理解してもらい、その上で仲間になってもらう方法です。
Of course, that makes a great deal of time and effort and sincerity, and there's still no guarantee of success. But even so, the possibility is greater than zero. It's definitely not impossible. So, Tomoe identified her small pieces of luck and used them to their maximum effect. Her contacts at the National Police Agency, the staff of the National Research Institution of Police Science, NRIP, and the profiling investigation methodology she learned with Honjo and her comrades at the Ibaraki Professional Police Department. She never spared a moment of free time either. She was always negotiating with them during her usual daily work, consulting with them, requesting they share data, and seeking their approval on matters. And even if it seems an easy thing to say, accomplishing that just in a year, half a year was no simple task. No, it doesn't even sound simple. It sounds kind of insane. But even so, she never gave up. She earned the help and cooperation of so many people by approaching other parties over and over and persuading them, trying to win their agreement. And as a result, she was able to greet everyone here today.
今回の一件が成功すれば、その成果は科警研のものです。私自身が関わることはほとんどありません。ですが、正義はあります。それこそが私が警察官として今ここにいる理由です。
From the perspective of many police officials, she looked like a soft-souled person. She was also aware of how people perceived her as a woman. But that was what she wanted. If they were willing to lend Tomoe their strength, or as long as they weren't trying to get in her way, it was ultimately beneficial for her. Tomoe wasn't simply performing well to achieve career advancement. And she wasn't investigating crimes to clear up her own hatred or personal grudges. To go even further, she wasn't doing that for the victims or their families either. The police shouldn't carry out investigations seeking revenge. True neutral. There absolutely is justice in this world to judge wrongdoers and admonish their sins. And those who stand by the wall of justice with evil in their hearts will surrender to its power and discipline themselves. It was Yamamoto who taught Tomoe that. In order to create a society that can believe in that, the police need to fight crime with the full backing of the law. To that end, it's necessary to understand the psychology of the criminal and sometimes even be in sync with them. It was truly a naive way of thinking, but it was first class. Even if my efforts and feelings weren't always rewarded, so what? Rather than twisting the world in my own intentions, I'll bet everything on living my life honestly. It's fine to get hurt, and even if you fall, even if you're pushed down, you may get up again and again, no matter how hard it is, doing your best to maintain your convictions. That's why I chose to follow the path of the police force.
君を。
それに、そもそも悪が手段を選ばない以上、正義だってそうあるべきですよね。一人の悪役に5人総出でタコ殴りにしても、
What
巨大
that?
ロボットが踏みつけたとしても、正義である限りは卑怯なんて考えてはいけないんです。だって正義は必ず勝たなきゃいけないんですから。
お姉ちゃん。
未来さん。
Madoka and Fujita could only stare on, looking overwhelmed, as Tomoe proudly declared that. But Yamamoto wasn't like that. Her answer was so earnest that it was comical, and he couldn't bear the absurdity of how exasperatingly resolute she was. Hey, Yusuke. This incredibly bold willingness to take action, to never give in. Your daughter is exactly like you, from head to toe.
そんなわけですから、しばらくまたお世話になります。どうかお手柔らかに。
ああ、好きにやりたまえ。
Very well. Let's see this girl's future all the way through to the end. Yamamoto said that to himself and watched her back as she turned and stepped out of the room.
本日より
Soma?
大巻女子学生殺人事件の合同捜査本部に科警研による特別チームが参加することとなりました。プロファイリング捜査の運用マニュアルを作成するための重要なテストケースとなりますので、皆様にはご協力とご理解をよろしくお願いします。
The senior researcher dispatched from NRIP spoke respectfully, but with a dignified demeanor, as he addressed the entire investigation team. In the center was the person responsible for this investigation headquarters, Director Yamaguchi, and Section Chief Dojima of the 1st Investigation Division at Perpetual HQ. And Tomoe was sitting on the left corner of the executive seating area of the platform.
でありますから、今回の事件にあたっては、被害者が当時交際しておりました沢村康平が入院中の病院から転落死した事件、そしてその死亡に関わったとされる看護師の平沼陽子の自殺事件との関連性を調査した上で、犯人像の割り出し分析を行う予定です。なお、現地の捜査にあたっては、所轄署の協力が不可欠であり。
While listening to the explanation from the meeting facilitator, Section Chief Dojima, Tomoe pulled a photo out of her handbag. It was one of Osaki's belongings found at the crime scene, a copy of the photo of Nagisa and Reina found in her pink wallets.
尾崎さん、やっとここまで来たよ。
She whispered that to herself, while gently smiling at the photo. In addition to the photo, the contents of the wallet included a train ticket bound for Okonomiya and a receipt for a store she visited on the date of the incident. Oh my god, so she didn't get to meet Rena, huh? So that's probably why, no Rena suspect, because she didn't actually make it there. That's so weird. So they picked her up and did that shit to her? What the heck? Wait. Oh, no, no. So she did. Return ticket. Okay, I'm dumb. Never mind. In other words, Nagisa went to see Reina Ryugu. Although it wasn't clear if they were able to meet and talk, but it meant she was caught up in the incident after coming back from there. And there were 2 separate times Tomoe was attacked by that girl. With that in mind, it was highly likely that Reina Ryugu was involved in some way, even if she wasn't the actual culprit. No, she has to know something. You know what's sad? The fucking Hinamizawa disaster happened. But, like, would it? Because Hani was like, yo, save Rika. Maybe it doesn't happen in this fragment. Maybe this is secretly the... Oh, shit. What's the final art called? I forgot it. I've done it. Whatever. Never mind. I won't let it end. Not a chance. No matter how cunning or even supernatural my foe may be, I'll bring this chain of tragedies to a close. And for that reason, I'll use everything at my disposal and keep fighting. Keep on fighting. At Section Chief Dojima's urging, Tomoe stood up and took a bow. She could see Madoka standing near the opposite wall, offering an encouraging smile. I won't give up ever. I'll make that miracle a reality. I'll carve a path to destiny with my own 2 hands. Boom! Credits? I think it's credit time. Yep. Alright, that was the finale of the... I don't know what you'd call this trilogy of concerts. The Natsumi, Minai, Tomoe stuff. That's cool. I wonder if they'll have some after stuff. Sometimes they do. That's a good arc. Very solid. Where would I put it in the trilogy itself is an interesting question. Like, my initial thing is probably it's the least favorite of the 3. But it had some good moments, man. Like, I was really feeling the Nagisa death and response, the emotional. There's some good emotional moments in this. I thought it was also really smooth when they were reading the letter and transition to Tomoe crying really loudly. That was good. It was good though. It was, I think it had less horror elements to it than the other arcs, than the other part of the trilogy, but no, it was good. Getting a full Tomoe POV arc. It was a fun time. I believe the next arc we're doing is a little out of order, but 2 people have requested it. Flaffle and, sorry, I don't know your name, because you've commented once. It starts with a Y, before we do something else. Or take a quick peek. But yeah. What a good time. At least also Natsumi, I assume, is nothing bad's gonna happen. Little tip to end us off. We'll take that. Oh my god. Tatano tip, please. Sounds like a Tatano thing. Whoa, what the fuck? Where are we?
まあ私としてはさっさと片付けるに越したことはないと思いますがね。
ダメよ、そういう請求な考え方は。
It's Tatana, right? It's been too long. I haven't heard her voice in months.
警察ってのは
Yeah, it's
どん
definitely
な形で
Tatana.
あ
The
れ
cadence.
身内を殺されると
Let's
あなたを追
go!
いかけてくる
First Tatano appearance in the concert! Salon with Hanyu. Holy shit, we take those.
あなた一人がスケープゴートになるというのなら別に止めないけど
冗談じゃないですよ。命知らずな刑事の命一つと自分の貴重な将来じゃ全然割が合いません。
Wait, is this a snake? Who's snaking? I can't tell whose voice is this. Is this Hanada's? It's not Fujita's. He had a bitter expression on his face. Wait, is it Fujita? He does have a... No, I think it's Hanada. Even if left alone, it wasn't a major threat.
それにしてもちょっと意外ですね。関係のありそうなところは根こそぎ潰してかかるのがあなたのやり方だと思っていましたが、何の罪もない女の子を殺したことに両親の痛みを感じて
True. Why do you kill Nagisa? Water. I mean, it's Tatano. I forgive her already. She didn't even say sorry and I already forgiven her.
あなたも言うわね別にあの刑事さんを憐れんでのことじゃないわただちょっと面白い実験ができるかなってね
実験？
ええどうやらあの子あとちょっとで末期発症に入りそうなのでもその状態にもかかわらず平静を保っているうまくやれば新しい臨床データを入手できるんじゃない
For
かしら
Tomoe? I know she's infected.
なるほど。モルモットですか。いや、さっき言った人道主義の言葉を撤回させてください。あなたは正真正銘の外道ですよ。
This is this guy, man. Where's Nomura?
少なくとも人間じゃない。
Just fake Nomura. Or is it supposed to be someone we know? I honestly can't tell.
最高の惨事だわ
If it is, you can tell me.
それじゃ、潜伏する連絡員たちにはそのように伝えます。よろしいですか？
ええよろしくお願いね
すべては
Blood
物
Moon.
が手のひらの上で踊る戯れか。ま、それもいいでしょう。どちらが菩薩で
What the
孫
f-
悟空なのか。
Who the fuck is
後で
this
覚え
guy?
ていただきますよ。
Fake Nomura. Man says he's snaking Takano. We don't take that shit around here, dude. This is should I don't know. Tell me if it's important. I wonder if I can look up who this man is. Kind of sounds like Yurie. It's the same guy that killed Numa Numa? Obviously it's not Yurie, but anyways, that was, what's this art called again? I always forget. It's not a diss on the art, I just forget about it. Like all the time. Alright, next art should be... somewhere. Yeah, Tokihogushi. So, even though this is next, I believe we're doing Koto Hagushi instead of Mio Tsukushi. Oh wow, that one has a Tomoe on it, so maybe we will have some Tomoe. I'll double check the order. I do have a list. When are we getting to Rena Bikini though? That's what I'm talking about. But no, it's okay. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this arc, and I'll see you in the next arc very soon. Peace.